With a clear and concise mission in place, now let's focus on the steps that we need to take to help fulfill it. To do this, we're going to set SMART goals. This is the focus of Lesson 3. We're going to talk about the criteria that's represented in the acronym SMART as it relates to SMART goals. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to complete the following objectives. List the terms each letter of SMART represents, explain each characteristic of a SMART goal, and critique example goals to determine if they meet that SMART goal criteria. The idea of SMART goals has been around since the late 1900s, so that's quite a while. There were educators and experts, people like Peter Drucker, Robert Rubin, and Paul J. Meyer, who all began to use this criteria as a way to explain an effective way to achieve goals and objectives. To set goals which are clear and can be accomplished, they should be written based on SMART criteria. So the acronym SMART stands for S, specific. This is where you state exactly what you want to accomplish. M, measurable. How will you evaluate if the goal has been met? A, achievable. Is it something that you can actually accomplish? R for relevant. How does it align to your objectives and resources? And T for time bound. What time frame would create a sense of urgency? Although you're going to find several variances of the criteria if you ever search for SMART criteria online or in books, but the characteristics are pretty much always the same when it's related to goal setting. So let's look at each one of these a little bit more in depth. S for specific. This means that you should state exactly what you want to accomplish. Goals should be written simplistically and should clearly define what you are going to do. They should be specific enough to explain the 5 W's of the goal. Who, what, when, where, and why. Who is involved? What do I want to accomplish? Where will this happen? When will this happen? And why am I setting this goal? Let's consider this sample goal. Due to declining participation, Oak Station Elementary line cooks will provide high-quality customer service, which will result in a 10% increase in breakfast participation by the end of first quarter. Now let's decide if it meets the specific criteria by seeing if it answers the following questions. Who is involved? What do I want to accomplish? Where will it happen? When will it happen? And why am I setting this goal? So who is involved? Line cooks. What do I want to accomplish? A 10% increase in breakfast participation. It will happen at Oak Station Elementary by the end of the first quarter, and I'm setting this goal due to declining participation. So yes, this goal does meet the specific characteristic of a SMART goal. The M stands for measurable. By including this characteristic in a goal, it will help you evaluate if the goal has been met. Goals can be evaluated based on a set amount of progress. So when you have this measurable component in a goal, it's the indicator of your progress, and it should help you answer questions like how many or how much, how will I know if the goal has been accomplished, or what is the goal line? Let's consider this sample goal. To increase program reimbursements, the number of students who purchase a reimbursable meal will increase by 5 students each 9-week period. Does this goal meet the measurable criteria? If so, then it should answer one of these types of questions. The how many or how much? We said it would increase by 5 students each 9-week period. How will I know if the goal has been accomplished? The number of students who purchase a reimbursable meal will have increased by 20. That's 5 per 9-week period. So yes, this goal does meet the measurable characteristic of a SMART goal. The A in SMART stands for Achievable. The goal should be something you can actually accomplish. To be achievable, a goal should state what results can realistically be achieved when given available resources. Keep in mind that it may and really should stretch your team. It should not be set too high or too low. Rather, just like the graphic shows, it should be at a level that is just right and encourages progress toward achieving that goal. As you try to determine the appropriate level to set, ask yourself these 3 questions. Are you prepared to make the commitment necessary to reach your target? Are you willing to make major changes in your routine and work environment? And is there a more achievable goal you would be willing to work for? Here again is the sample goal. Let's read this one together. To add more items to the menu, to add more student-approved items to the menu that also meet the meal pattern requirements, at least 2 taste tests will be conducted every 9 weeks. So let's see if this goal meets the achievable criteria. If so, we should be able to answer these questions. Can I or we realistically achieve this goal with available resources? Yes, we have the necessary resources. Does it stretch my team? Yes, conducting 2 taste tests every 9 weeks will definitely stretch my team. Am I prepared to commit to reaching it? Yes, I am prepared to commit. Am I willing to make the necessary changes? Yes, I will make any changes necessary to meet this goal. And is there a more achievable goal? No, this goal is neither too high nor too low. It is just right. So yes, this goal definitely meets the measurable, achievable criteria. Relevant. The R in SMART stands for relevant. It addresses how the goal aligns to your objectives, your needs, and/or the resources that you have. Goals must be ones that you are willing and able to work on and must be based on your forecasted needs. Use these questions as a guide when trying to determine if a goal meets this characteristic. Do I have the resources? Does it make sense for my program? And does it align with my priorities and needs? Let's again consider a sample goal. Based on the student's dissatisfaction rating for the current whole wheat biscuits being served, at least 2 new brands will be identified for inclusion in the first 9 weeks taste tests. Does it meet the relevant criteria? If so, we should be able to answer these questions. Do I have the resources? Yes, I have the resources to help me identify at least 2 new brands and to purchase them in time for the taste tests. Does this make sense for my program? It does, because the need was indicated by the students' dissatisfaction ratings. And finally, does it align with my priorities and needs? It does, because I want to increase the number of menu items that my students like and that meet the meal pattern requirements. The last letter in SMART is the T. This stands for time-bound. You definitely want to set a time frame for accomplishing the goal that would create a sense of urgency. It should be a reasonable amount of time, one that's not too soon, but one that's also not too far in the distant future. A time frame that creates a practical sense of urgency keeps the goal on everybody's minds, and it reminds them to continue working on that goal. But at the same time, it does not allow that goal to be accomplished immediately and no real change to occur. To help maintain progress throughout the time frame of the goal, continue to ask yourself these 3 questions. What can I do today to reach my goal? What can I do 1 week from now? What can I do 1 month from now? So let's consider this sample goal. To increase the number of fruits and vegetables selected by students, the setup of the serving lines will be rearranged by the end of the month. So now let's figure out, does this goal meet the time-bound criteria? We're going to ask ourselves, what can I do today? We're going to begin by researching alternative setups and schedule site visits to see options at other schools. We're going to complete the site visits and ask for suggestions from colleagues a week from now. And then in a month, we can create draft drawings of the top 3 setups to determine which one may work best. So yes, as you can see, it does meet the time-bound criteria because we have a specific deadline that's indicated, which was by the end of the month. Also, we know that 2 months should provide enough time to successfully meet the goal, yet would create that sense of urgency. So neither is this deadline too soon, nor is it too far in the future. This lesson focused on the criteria represented by the acronym SMART as they relate to setting goals. You should be able to list the terms each letter SMART represents. You should be able to explain the characteristics of a SMART goal and critique example goals to determine if they meet the SMART goal criteria. To wrap up this lesson, you will take the Lesson 3 post-quiz. Then, before moving on to Lesson 4, you will take a pre-quiz to help determine what you already know about the material contained in that lesson.